Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. It really means a lot to me that you guys are enjoying my videos. So today we're back in the ABC Techniques journals, and today's letter is the letter C. Okay, so we're going to be concentrating on coffee and coffee staining and dyeing, but I'm going to show you clothespins because that's also the letter C. Okay, but we're not going to concentrate on the clothespins. We're going to concentrate on the coffee. But for our letter C, let me open it up. You can see I used clothespins to hold our coffee stained paper. And that's what we're going to be working on today, is this right here. Isn't that lovely? And can you hear the sound? I'm going to teach you how to make more vintagey looking paper. So it looks old and authentic. And look at the back of that. Wouldn't you just love to journal on that? It's beautiful. And it feels so nice in the hand. It has this lovely paper clip that I made. The paper clips in the journals, these journals, I did with scrapbooking paper so that they would match the journals more perfectly. So I'm going to set that one off to the side. And we'll move on to this one. This one is, as you can see, it matches. So I just used the same scrapbooking paper, excuse me. And here's another one that I did. Now this one didn't work as well because my coffee staining kind of got a little bit ahead of me. So it's harder to see the font that's actually on this to make it look more like a letter. But it is there, and it still has this wonderful grungy, vintagey feel. I'm just going to set that one off to the side. Okay. So this one, you can see already the pink is sticking out. I just did some scrapbook paper that had roses on it. I thought that matched this journal really well. See how authentic that looks and how individual. That's another thing that we're working on today, is so that each one looks individual to the journal itself. Okay, so we'll just set this one off to the side. And our last one in our ABC techniques is this one. Now this one has a different fold, and this is actually scrapbooking paper, but it looks like it just blends right into the wood, like I had painted it on there. And it's just scrapbooking paper. You guys see? Hopefully you guys can see it really well. Okay, and then our paper looks like this. I did some coffee rings, just some staining. It feels good. It's crinkly. Let me show you the back side. It looks like it could actually be a vintage letter. Okay, so moving along, let me show you more clothespins ideas, okay? So here's some more in the same size. I got these at the Dollar General. That's where these brown ones came from, was the Dollar General. Let me hold it up so you guys can see them better. These were just washi tape. Okay, and so what I did was I matched my washi tape size up with the clothespin. So I just matched it up so that it just rolled straight down on the strip. And then I took my X-Acto knife and cut off the edges so that it was even. That's all I did. They're the same on both sides. And then I did that with also these little tiny mini paper clips. Let me hold it up. Hopefully you guys can see that really well. I did these ones slightly differently. I did washi, a smaller sized washi that again, it fit the paper clip exactly. Paperclip. I keep saying paperclip. Clothespin. It fit the clothespin exactly on there. So I just rolled it out and cut it off. It was simple and easy. And these ones, I added a bit of glitter. These ones over here, I don't have anything on extra on them, except I did decorate this one with a little bit of gems. These ones over here, I dyed them with alcohol ink, the alcohol pearl ink. And it created this really shiny, glossy look. Hope you guys can see those. And I just added a butterfly onto the end right here. Not where you clamp, because then you'll end up breaking your little embellishment. So make sure you put it on this side, closest to the clamp side. Over here, I took some white Delusions white spray paint, and I just sprayed my paper clips so that they weren't so stark manila colored, so that they look more whitewashed. If you look here on the paper clip, you can see, hopefully you can see the difference between the two. One is more manila colored and one is more, let me try to, there you go. And one is more like whitewashed. Okay. And then this one here, I just put some purple gems on it just to jazz it up a bit. So let me show you some examples of the coffee staining I've already done before we get started so that you can see variations. This one was done with green ink and this one was done with blue ink. And as you saw in some of the journals, one of them was done in purple ink and the other one was done in shadow gray ink, which was just a gray color. So you can see how individual each and every one of these are. So let's get started and let me show you how to achieve this same look. Okay, so you're going to need some supplies for this. You're going to need some kind of brush or a roller or something, a pan to put your coffee and stuff in, some really hot water, so I got that ready, some coffee. I just use this instant coffee from Dollar General, some archival ink, doesn't matter what color, but whatever color suits your journal that you're working in. This is just plain copy paper from my printer. It's just very thin copy paper, nothing fancy there. You're going to need some kind of rag or a paper towel to mop things up a little bit. You're going to need some kind of stamp. It doesn't matter if it's a font stamp. It can be anything. You can even do images, big flowers, anything you want on your paper. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, and you need some wax paper. Okay, so that's kind of a key element is this wax paper. That's how we're going to get the crinkly sound. And you're going to need some kind of dryer. My Ranger heat tool kind of just went on the fritz. It just completely just stopped right in the middle. So I'm going to use my embossing gun and hopefully that'll work. You could also use a hair dryer, or you could actually just wait in between layers, but that'll take a while. So I suggest you use some kind of heat tool to heat things up. You could even pop it in your oven if you want in between. So let's get started. I'm going to add this hot water to my pan. I got about 3/4 of a cup here, which is going to be a lot actually. You don't need that much, but I wanted to make sure I had plenty. We're going to add some of these, the coffee. Make sure my lid's open. Here we go. I'm going to break it up because it's kind of been a while since I've used it. So let's just add some of the instant coffee. As dark as you want. I'm going to set that off to the side. Okay, so we're going to stir it up and we're going to let this sit and marinate for a minute. There we go. We'll just set that off to the side. Okay, now we're going to take our, dry that up. I just splattered water everywhere. Okay, now we're going to take our paper and we're going to go ahead and ink it. So I'm going to use blue, French ultramarine, and rose madder. Just trying to get some variety in here. So we'll do the French ultramarine first. I'm just going to stamp it right onto my ink pad. Here we go. Push down. This ink pad, you can't even tell that there's ink on it. It's old, I guess. So I'm just using half a sheet. I just tore my paper in half. Depending on the size of your journal, you could use a full sheet if you wanted to. But for this demonstration, I'm just using half a sheet. I'm going to stamp up the entire sheet. You know, I did tell you could use images. Popping an image over top of this font would look really good too. I don't have one handy or else I would do that real quick, but I'm sure you guys can use your imagination as to what that would look like. If you had like a flower stamp or an image, a portrait of a lady, that would look really pretty right there. Okay, so that is the blue one. Let's go ahead and do the rose madder. I'm just going to wipe my stamp real quick to get some of that blue off. Okay, we'll set that aside. We're going to come back to this one. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the I do it this way because so it gives more even because it is such a large stamp. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. There we go. I'm not really trying to line the stamp up too perfectly, just a little bit, but not really. Um, with these wooden block stamps, it's really hard to get them to line up, so I don't really try. But there is our pink letter. I think that looks lovely. I'm going to put that off to the side. Okay, so here is our letters. Now we're going to try two different ways of doing the folding. On this one, oh, this one's already crinkled, so I'm going to use this one. Okay, so on this one, you can see it's already kind of rough where I tore them apart. I'm a little more rougher than this side, but so I'm going to fold. I'm just going to do the three fold, like this. I'm going to crease it really well and then fold it. Oh, you know what? I might leave it like this so that I can come back later and add the wax seal right here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it like that so I can add a wax seal right there to it. Okay, so this one just has this kind of a fold. I'm folding this one first so that I can show you the difference of what it would look like if you folded your line first versus not folding it first. Just a demonstration. I'm also going to rough up the edges of this one. I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm just going to rough up the edges real quick. Well, that side's already rough, so. I'm kind of going to see if there's a difference between roughing your edges up before you add the coffee versus after you've added the coffee. Okay. And it's okay if your paper rips and tears a little bit. That just gives a more authentic look. It's just old, right? Okay, so we have both of these. One is roughed up and the other one is not. So we'll see. This edge here actually could use just add a bit more right here. There, that's a little bit better for me. Okay, so what we're going to do is our first layer. I'm just going to put these down, face down, like this, so that they're against the wax paper. You could do it either way, but I prefer doing it face down. And then I'm just going to paint the coffee straight on this layer. We are just going to go full, cover the entire paper. Okay. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, why don't you just do these in batches instead of the individual? But the reason is so that they look different. Each one looks different than in a batch work. You'll see whenever we start adding some of the details what I'm talking about individual. I just think they're great for doing a specific project. Okay, so this layer is now covered. And I'm going to take my towel and I'm gently going to go over top of some of it so that it is not so heavy with liquid. And then I'm going to dry it with my heat gun. Okay, so it does take a little bit longer with the heat gun than it does with the Tim Holtz blow dryer. And I'm sure a hair dryer would work even better and work even faster, but okay, so pick it up. Okay, so now we're just going to flip these over and we are going to add our second layer. So again, we're just going to go and cover the entire page, okay? And you can see the difference of how it soaks in. That's because this actually now has some of this waxy paper on it. Okay, that's what's giving us our crinkle feel whenever we're completely done. And the wax paper protects your work surface too. So you don't have to worry about being messy. You can just throw this stuff on there. Okay, and again on this side. Okay, it's okay if it's not, if you have like the gaps and stuff, that just adds to it. Okay, now we're just going to dry this again. Okay, so, okay, that was just the basics. That's just the basic layer of, if you could stop right now if you wanted to, but this is just the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to flip them over again. This is why you need a drying tool, because there's so many different steps. I usually like mine to be a little bit darker than this, but you could go lighter. If you're doing if you're doing tea, you're going to get a lighter look than coffee. But you could do this with tea. It's just going to take you more layers. Okay, so I go and cover the entire back side. I get full coverage again on the back. These are turning out so lovely. Okay. Oh, and when you're drying, make sure you really get these seams each time. Otherwise, they do tend to start getting brittle and break right there. Okay, and again, we're going to cover the entire page. There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit for just a second. And this side's already ready, and I'm going to dab off some of the excess after it's sat for a second. Okay, I'm just going to go in and dab some of it off so that it doesn't take forever to dry. And we're going to dry this side. Okay. Okay, so now both of these are completely dry. It's time for the other side. Okay, so these are looking really lovely. You can kind of see where the wax adhered to the paper. Can you guys see the difference in the color between where the wax kind of got on there and where it didn't? You can definitely tell down through the middle for sure. The edges, I was really concentrating on these edges for the wax to get on there. So, and it kind of did that too on this one, but it was kind of harder to see, but you could definitely see it on the blue. Okay, so now the fun part, we're just going to dribble or splatter, whatever you prefer. Just put some smears. I'm gonna do a big one right here, just like this, so that it's dark in that area with a few splatters. Maybe on the edge. Oh, that looks good. And if you don't like them, just take your towel really fast after you've put them down and kind of dab them up, and that way they kind of go away. This is just about building layers, so I'm going to go ahead and dry that real fast. Okay, I just wanted to pause it and say, whenever you're using the Ranger, the water or the coffee doesn't really run whenever you're using the Ranger heat tool. So you're going to get more of where it's at. It stays where it's at, is what I'm trying to say. With the heat gun, as you notice, it kind of spreads it like this. So my technique is just to make my heat gun go in a circle, and then that kind of keeps the coffee in the same circle that it was in. And it gives a nice look when it's completely dry. Okay, so after they're kind of dry, we're going to add some circle rings. If you have a stencil, that'd be great right here, but I'm just going to use the lid of my coffee jar. And I'm just going to, here, I'll move it down so you guys can see. I'm just going to dip the lid straight into the top right there, kind of shake it off so I don't want a lot of coffee here. I'm just going to do 2 for 1 here and do it like that. Oh, that's a beautiful coffee ring. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Set this back. Oops, got some extra splatters there. That's okay with me. There we go. Okay, more lighter on this side than this one, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and add another one right here. There we go. We can add as many as we want, right? Okay, so now we're going to dry this. Okay, so you can see now with the coffee rings on here, just exactly how it looks with those. And you could add more splatters. You can add more, take a paintbrush and just go like that. You can add some ink. That would be great too, because, you know, maybe they spilled a little bit of ink whenever they were writing the letter. Okay, so now I was going to show you the difference there between the rough edge and folding it. You can see, let me fold this one. I'm going to do it in the exact same way so that you can see it is the same. I'm going to crease it really well with my fingernail here. I'm going to leave a little bit of space for the wax seal. Okay, so now whenever you open it up, you can see the fold lines, right? But to me, this is more authentic looking because this looks like the fold lines were created at the same time that the page was aging. Whereas this, I feel like you can easily tell that this was done after. Now, you could go in with your distress inks and just ink up the edges, but I kind of like the whole authentic look from this one. And whenever you fold it up, let me show you the edges. Okay, well, you can kind of see this is the edge, and then this is the one that's not distressed. And now, if we were to come in here and distress this edge, like this, see how it's pulling back the white? It's bringing back the white of the paper that originally. Not that that's bad, it's just I'm trying to show you. Okay, see, so it's not really bad, but you can definitely see the whiter edge that's coming out right there with it versus on this side where it was already grungy. You can see that it just goes right. The coffee just aligns with the distress. That's what I'm trying to say. Here you can kind of see that the coffee is not aligning with where the distress edges are. So I would actually come back later and distress that and then add more coffee to it just to give it more different look. Okay, so let me show you what all of these four look like. Okay, so these are our four letters. I followed the exact same formula, and you could, well, I didn't put the coffee rings on this smaller piece, but otherwise I followed the exact same formula, and you can see how they all look different, but yet at the same time they all look old and that just love the sound. I wish you guys could hear it and feel it. That wax really just gives us a layer to that. That's why I always put the font side down first so that it gets the wax straight onto it. And I just really feel like that protects the font a little bit to make it pop through and gives it like a vintagey look, like the font's faded in certain places. I think that's beautiful. So yeah, that's our letter C, is coffee stained vintage paper. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was kind of a simple technique, but it gives you such lovely results. And we always need to remember to just bring out our coffee and play. So I'm glad you guys joined me today. I really enjoy each and every one of you. Please leave me a comment below. And I hope you guys have a blessed day.